We feel this platform can help many people understand what goes on in the life of teenagers and their perspectives. We will also like to introduce any more topics that you guys might be interested in.
To call in, our telephone number is 01902 972 150, 01902 972 150.
Last week, we continued off from our series of options for GCSEs. If you're interested in learning why to choose options, what you will study and how they will be assessed, watch our previous episodes on our Facebook and listen to us live on ramadanradio.wolves app, the website www.ramadanradiowolves.com and also www.ramadanradio.net.
So in our previous episodes, we have spoken about taking options such as art and design,
business,
computer science,
design technology,
textiles,
food preparation and nutrition,
product design,
engineering,
film studies,
music,
and lastly performing arts. If you are interested in taking any of those, feel free to check them out on our Facebook page.
Today, for the first half of our show, we will be continuing from the series of options and that you choose at the end of Key Stage 3. Today we will be discussing different options in depth to see if any of them may interest you. Overall, our aim is to give you guys some advice. So the first option we will be discussing is PE. As well as doing core PE during the week, you'll have to do an additional PE lesson.
So what does the course cover? The course is split into 4 main components. Component 1, Fitness and Body Systems, which is Year 10 theory work, which is worth 36% of your overall grade.
Component 2, which is Health and Performance, which you do in Year 11 as theory work, which is 24% of your overall grade.
Component 3, which is Practical Performance, where you do 3 sports, which is worth 30% of your overall grade.
And also Component 4, which is Personal Exercise Program, which is 30% of your overall grade.
So in Component 1, the topics covered are Anatomy and Physiology, where you learn about skeletal system, muscular system, cardiovascular system, and the respiratory system.
You also learn about movement analysis, which is when you learn about planes and axes of movement.
You also do physical training, where you learn about the relationship between health, fitness, and exercise, and the principles of training and the methods of training.
And you also will have to use different data to analyse scenarios that you'll be get given. So in Component 2, the topics that will be covered is health, fitness and well-being, where you will look at your physical health, emotional, social, fitness and well-being. Also, you'll look at the consequences of a sedentary lifestyle and also energy use, diet, nutrition and hydration.
You'll also learn about sports psychology, where you'll learn about the use of goal setting and targets to improve to optimize performance, guidance and feedback on performance, and mental preparation for performance.
You'll also have to engage patterns of different social groups in physical activities and sports.
And you will learn how to use data once again and revision.
In Component 3, you'll have to choose 3 different activities that you will need to complete at a high standard. From these activities, there are options of athletics, badminton, dance, gymnastics, table tennis, basketball, football and netball. But for a full list, you should ask your PE teachers.
And then lastly, we have Component 4, where you will do personal exercise program, and you will be assessed on your own fitness and determination to improve over your sport that you choose.
Mm-hmm.
So what careers could taking this option lead to? A good GCSE PE grade shows that you possess a mixture of practical and academic skills. GCSE PE leads specifically to further study of physical education at AS and A2 and beyond, to degrees in areas such as physical education, sports sciences, exercise sciences, sports psychology, and many, many more.
So how will I be assessed? Component 1 and Component 2 are both theory exams. So the way that it is that component 1 exam is around 1 hour and 45 minutes, and the total marks on the paper is 90.
Component 2 exam is 1 hour and 15 minutes, and the total marks on the paper is 70.
And both of these exams will be taken with the rest of your GCSEs at the end of year 11.
And component 3, which is practical, and it's assessed in lessons and then officially in a practical exam week during school time.
And then component 4 is the coursework and the controlled assessment. This means it happens in school with the classroom teacher but in exam-style conditions. We then send the sample of work away to be checked and externally moderated. And also with your practical that you need to complete, your class teacher will take video evidence of the things that you do so that they can send it off to the exam board to be assessed.
Okay, so our next option we're going to be talking about is languages. So what is it? Modern foreign languages are the most commonly taught are French, German and Spanish, but some schools also offer languages like Mandarin and Russian. Depending on your school, you may also be able to choose from an array of languages including Portuguese, Italian, Mandarin and Chinese, Polish, Russian and Japanese. Some schools require you to take a modern foreign language, so check with your teachers whether these are part of your options or compulsory.
So the things that come with languages are reading, writing, listening and speaking. All of these are 4 different exams that you need to take. The reading and the writing and listening will happen at the end of year 11 with the rest of your exams. However, the speaking often happens slightly before the exam season. The speaking happens when you are just face-to-face with you and your class teacher, and the way that they assess is they record the whole conversation that you have. So it will be a one-on-one that gets recorded, and that will be sent off to the exam board to be assessed.
And with the writing exam, you also get some information on it beforehand where you get to choose a theme which you will be able to talk about, so you can practice it beforehand so you won't be stuck in the actual exam.
So what skills will I get from studying a foreign language? The ability to speak another language, which is an obvious one, but there is more to it than that. Learning a foreign language can build your communication, interpersonal, intercultural, and public speaking skills, otherwise known as soft skills. Some studies have also shown that learning another language can improve your ability to multitask and block out distractions. That would definitely come in handy during exam revision.
So what careers are foreign languages good for? Languages are great for a wide variety of careers, especially those involving translation or communication with people from non-English speaking countries. This can include careers in tourism, government, politics, media, publishing, and journalism. You can also work in education, fashion, or law. Learn more about where languages can take you in your career by doing some of your own research on what careers you are looking for in the future.
What subjects do languages go with? Languages go well with the subjects like English literature, history, and geography, as they are closely linked and can inform each other. Learning a bit about the French Revolution in history, knowing some French could give you a whole new perspective. So the languages that me and Lybah took were Spanish. Our class, our school options were just French and Spanish, but some of the older years did take German. And so it's kind of like many primary schools actually teach French from a young age, and you just start Spanish as soon as you enter secondary school, and they give you like 2 to 3 years to really get involved with the language, to know if you want to or you like to study one or the other. I think with French and Spanish, they're both so similar. There's like different words in both languages which are the same in pronunciation but mean completely different things. And so even in my experience, I studied French since I was in year 3, and I studied it in year 7 and year 8. And even though I had done it for about 6 years, it never really flowed with me.
Yeah.
I always preferred Spanish. I don't really know why. But when people say or tell you that, oh, Spanish is so much easier or French is so much easier, I don't think any language can be so much easier than a different one, because it's so different to the English language itself. And so with my sister, the languages that she's learning is Russian and German.
Wow.
And so those are not linked with English. And so it really just depends on your preference and what you want to or like to study. And also another point is that you can actually do a language outside of school, and it can count, and you can take it as a GCSE exam. Sometimes you can study it outside of school, and when your school is taking the exam, if you didn't happen to choose it, you could sit it then at the time as external candidates, or you could learn a language and do the exam with an external examiner also for it to count as a GCSE.
Yes, you made very good points. The fact that so different languages aren't easier than other ones, because you can't really determine it like that. Yeah. And also for our school, it's quite different in the way you choose the option. For example, let's say you do separate sciences, then you have to do it language as well, which can be different for other schools. So our next option we're going to be talking about is health and social care. So what is it? Health and social care is a relatively new GCSE, introduced in September 2002 as one of the 8 new vocational GCSE subjects. Because this GCSE hasn't been around for very long, some students and many parents are not aware of what it actually entails.
So, what does this course actually entail? In simple terms, health and social care introduces young people to a broad range of topics concerning health and social care, increasing awareness of the issues involved and preparing those who are engaged for a career within the profession.
The GCSE covers topics relevant to the health, social care and early years sectors. It encourages students to examine issues such as quality of life, the importance of support when improving health, personal development and relationships.
So what can I expect from a GCSE in this subject? A lot of flexibility. Not only can you choose whether to do a single award or a double award, you may also decide which studies you want to focus on your, for example, this means you have the opportunity to get involved with your local community if you wish.
It will open up many doors to you. If you enjoy learning about health and you thrive on caring for other people, but you are unsure which career you want to go in, this GCSE will give you a solid grounding in a wide range of topics within the health and social industry. Hopefully you will develop ideas of which aspect of the sector most interests you.
You will get the opportunity to work independently on exciting practical projects which you will be given a taste of in the real world outside education. If you don't enjoy learning from textbooks or even school as a whole, this GCSE will give you a welcome change from the same old.
A great deal of variety, from trips to health and community organisations to group work and role play. You are unlikely to find the teaching style repetitive. These practical activities will also teach you technical, problem-solving and organisational skills that allow you to develop your independence.
You will be assessed by a mixture of exams and controlled internal assessments, which is coursework, which you will complete in the frame of your lessons. So be prepared to develop effective revision strategies that work for you and make sure that you attend all your lessons. You will be working on coursework, so make the most of your allotted time.
The personal gains are worth it. Even by the end of this GCSE, you decide a job within the health and social care industries isn't for you, you will still have learned a lot of valuable information about how to stay fit and healthy. You will have the opportunity to develop an interest in BMI, heart pressure and first aid. These topics are widely useful and will help you to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So if all of this sounds like an exciting GCSE, health and social care is a useful, practical, stimulating qualification, particularly valuable for students interested in health or those who have an interest in caring for people.
So I actually did take health and social care in year 9 for 1 year. The reason I took it was because the idea of career that I want is in medicine.
Yeah.
And so the way it appealed to me was it was a good basic foundation, like knowledge, to a really broad like specification.
Your information, yeah.
Yes, and so with this in mind, I thought that I was actually really, really interested in what it would bring, and I learnt so much. But it was really in depth of like how humans develop.
Yeah.
It would like cover every single stage of the human life from birth, even before birth, all the way up until death, essentially. And so it covered so many different parts of the way your body changes, the way your personality changes, the different things physically and mentally that happen to you. And like it really focused on social aspects of like people's lives, because I feel like with socializing, it's not really discussed in any of the lessons.
Yeah, it isn't at all.
I feel like those types of things are meant to be discussed in PSHE, but many schools are really lacking on PSHE, including ours. And that's really meant to be a topic or a subject where you're meant to cover life skills and different things that you can't be taught from a book. But because we'd never had that, I think health and social care was a really good kind of substitute for that, which really helped me like see people differently.
Yeah. So do you think you benefited from taking the option?
I think I really did, and even though I just took it for 1 year, it really did like inspire different aspects that I never even knew.
Yeah, that's really good.
So, what will I study? You will gain grounding in the essential skills and broad fundamentals crucial to this area of study, giving them the opportunity to build on these afterwards or to enter into their first job within this sector.
So for GCSE Health and Social Care, you must take units A9, 11 and A9, 12. So in unit A9, 11, which is 60 marks and it's 60% of your total GCSE, and it's a controlled assessment task. So in that, you learn the range of care needed for major client groups.
You also need to learn the way people obtain services and the possible barriers that could prevent people from gaining access to services.
You learn the types of services that exist to meet a client group needs and how they are organised.
The principles of care that underpin all care work.
And the main work roles and skills of people who provide health and social care and early year services.
So in the unit A912, that will be 60 marks, which is 40% of your total GCSE grade. It is a written paper, which is 1 hour. There is in total 4 questions, and the candidate needs to answer all of the questions, and it will be assessed externally. So the things that it will include will be the stages of pattern of human growth and development,
the different factors that can affect human growth and development,
the development of self-concept and different types of relationships,
and major life changes and sources of support. So these GCSE specifications in health and social care enable learners to actively engage in the processes of health and social care to develop as effective and independent learners,
understand aspects of personal development and the health, social care and early years sectors through investigation and evaluation of a range of services and organisations,
develop a critical and analytical approach to problem solving within the health, social care and early years sectors,
and also examine issues that affect the nature and quality of human life, including an appreciation of diversity and culture issues. So, who is this course suitable for? BTEC first is health and social care can help you take your first steps towards a career of caring for people and communities. You will learn the essential skills needed to support people in a wide range of needs, from babies and toddlers to adults and the elderly.
Post-16 opportunities and careers include healthcare support worker, care assistant, home care support worker, care supervisor, social services officer, outreach development worker, and community support worker.
So from everything that has been mentioned with what it includes, do you think that this is something that you would have been benefited to, or you would have liked to study?
Okay, so yes, definitely, because as we all know, I can't stick to one career at the moment. I change every single day, and one day I thought of a career as being a social services worker, and seeing this, I can see how I could benefit from it in loads of different ways, about how you said learning of the stages and pattern of human growth and the social aspects, which we don't get taught in school, and we should be getting taught about it. So as you said, it could be a substitute for it, and if I got taught this, I feel like it would benefit me a lot.
Yeah, and I think there's so many, as you mentioned, so many different careers that can come with this GCSE, and the basics are all there. I think the basics stay the same throughout everything, no matter what you decide to go on within this sector. And so I think many of these can actually, some of the jobs that weren't specifically mentioned were like midwives, nurses, these people with that want of career can be really benefited from what this GCSE has to offer. And I think it's such a good thing that they've decided to actually include it.
Because it's such a new GCSE.
Yeah, exactly. And so definitely the exam board, or the people who decide our subjects, found a reason for this to be so important.
I feel like from this we can just understand how if we had more knowledge on the options we were actually taking, we would have chosen completely different ones. So that's why me and Shehreen actually chose to do this topic for our shows. Yeah,
and I think so many people should really know in depth exactly what's coming, because it can go two ways. Either you think that it's going to be really great and it happens to be not what you thought, or slightly different, or you weren't looking for that. But it could go the complete opposite way, that you didn't know of a subject and what it could hold, and you wish that you had taken it.
Yeah, definitely. Should we do a little recap?
Yeah.
Okay, so today we have talked about the options such as PE, languages, and health and social care. So in PE, the course will cover 4 components. Component 1 is fitness and body systems, which is 36%. Component 2, which is health and performance, which is 24% of your overall grade. And component 3, which is practical performance, 30% of your overall grade. And component 4, which is personal exercise program, which is 30%.
The way that those components get assessed is component 1 and component 2 are both theory exams, which will be taken at the end of year 11. The component 1 exam lasting 1 hour and 45 minutes, and component 2 lasting 1 hour and 15 minutes. Component 3 is then a practical, which you will have to do the 3 sports, which you will be assessed in lessons. And this is also where the video evidence come in to actually show the examiners that you have actually completed the sport. And then component 4, which is the coursework, which will also be part of a controlled assessment.
So what careers could you take? By taking this option and lead to, you could take a career such as in physical education, sports sciences, exercise science, sports psychology, and many more.
Next, we spoke about languages when we talked about all the different foreign languages that can be taught within school, which are French, German, and Spanish, sometimes even Russian, Latin, and Mandarin. Some schools also may offer Portuguese, Italian, Mandarin, Chinese, Polish, Russian, and Japanese. But remember that you can always also take a language outside of school.
The way you'll be assessed, all I know is for our year, where you'll have a speaking exam, a listening exam, and a writing exam. But your speaking exam will be separate from your writing and reading exam, and that will be assessed with a merit, a distinction, or a pass.
Mm-hmm.
So what skills will I get? You get a few skills from studying foreign languages. For example, you get soft skills, where you do more in your...
Yeah, so after the break, we will talk about what has happened to the exams last year and what will happen for us this year.
To call in, our telephone number is 01902 972 150, 01902 972 150. We thank you all for listening, and we hope you stay tuned after the break.
Assalamu alaikum. You are listening to Ramadan Radio. I am your teen host Shehreen.
And I'm your teen host Lybah. Welcome back to our Teens Talk Show.
So if you want to listen to us, you can go on our Facebook page, and you can also listen to us on Ramadan Radio Wolves app. You can go on the website www.ramadanradio.wolves.com and also www.ramadanradio.net.
To call in, our number is 01902 972 150. 01902 972 150.
So before the break, we finished all of our options that we have discussed in depth. So majority of those options, I think nearly all of them are the ones that we've covered that your school can give you. So if you like to check those out, you can look on our previous episodes as well.
So now we're going to be talking about the changes to exam and assessments in GCSE and A-Levels 2021.
So Ofqual has said for summer 2021 exam board, you have to change how the assessed content in GCSE Geography, History and Ancient History as we proposed in our consultation.
Exam boards have to change how they assess GCSE English Literature to allow for some choices in the content to be covered. The government, which is responsible for the content of GCSE and AS and A-Levels, has decided to allow for this change.
You should not, unless to accommodate subject-specific decisions, make greater use of optional questions in exams.
So basically that means there's not going to be any like A, B, C, D questions. It's all going to be worded questions. And the next one is they should remove the requirement for centres to make a declaration to them confirming they have provided all students to undertake a mandated number of days of fieldwork in GCSE, AS and A-Level Geography.
The same applies to GCSE, AS, A-Level Geology and AS and A-Level Environmental Science.
So therefore Geography does not have to require actually doing the fieldwork, but we will be asked questions. So the next one is we will not be required to change the length, number or format of exam papers.
Should for GCSEs in modern foreign languages report the assessment of spoken language to an endorsement alongside to the 9-1 grade, but you will still have a spoken assessment, and for majority of schools this will be assessed by your teacher instead of it being recorded and sent away.
And that will be separate from your overall final grade. And the next one is exam boards should allow for a range of adjustments to assessment arrangements in a number of subjects to accommodate for potential public health requirements, for example GCSE Food Preparation Nutrition, GCSE AS and A-Level Music and Physical Education.
They are speaking to change the assessment requirements for subjects to free up teaching time and in some instances reduce what needs to be taught, and also
take account of any public health restrictions relating to coronavirus that might be in place during the next academic year.
This consultation includes proposals and questions for the following areas: adaptations to exams and assessments that could free up teaching time,
adaptations to exams and assessments to address obstacles that could be created by any public health safeguards,
sampling of subject content,
the use of more optional questions in exams,
changing the length of exams,
and changing the exam timetable. As the government's expectation is that assessments will be taking place during 2020-21, they do not consider that it will be necessary to permit awarding organisations to offer calculated results as they did in the previous year.
So now what we will be talking about is if you have a career in mind but don't know the options to take for that career, that's what we will be discussing. So what GCSEs should I take to become a civil engineer? So you should definitely take maths, English language and science, and you should also think about taking engineering as your option.
There are several routes into becoming a civil engineer: an apprenticeship, college course or a university degree. You'll usually need at least 5 GCSEs at grade 4, C or above, including maths, English, language and science.
Most university degrees ask that if you have studied maths and or physics at A levels, so if your school offers separate science subjects, make sure that you take physics so you can carry it through. Some schools offer GCSEs in engineering, and you might consider taking this if you're set on this career path, although it is not compulsory.
So from out of these, we have spoken about the option of engineering. If you want to listen to that, you can listen on our Facebook page.
So, what GCSEs should I take to become a doctor or a dentist? The subjects that you definitely need to take are maths, English language and science, but you should also think about a spread of other subjects that you enjoy.
To work in the medical profession, you will need at least 7 GCSEs, including science, English language and maths. Science may be a double or triple award. If your school offers separate science qualifications, you will need to take at least 2, preferably biology and chemistry, although it would be wise to take all 3. Courses are competitive, so you should be aiming for grade 6 or higher in all subjects.
So they have changed the requirements for the universities looking for medicine. So what is definitely compulsory for you to have is chemistry. I think it's an A star. So now you have to have an 8 in chemistry, and that is a required A level. For your grades for every single subject, as you've said, it needs to be a 6, B or higher. For majority of universities, I think they've actually highered that grade. So it must be A, 7 or above. But for A levels, biology is no longer compulsory as it used to be a few years ago. So as maths, English and science are generally compulsory at GCSE, this leaves you free to fill the rest of your quota with subjects that you will really enjoy. To qualify for a medical degree at university, your A levels will need to be heavily maths and science based, so enjoy some variation while you can before you specialise.
So what GCSE should I take to become a midwife? So you should definitely think about taking maths, English language or literature and science.
You should also think about studying health and social care. To secure a place on a midwife course, you will usually need a minimum of 5 GCSEs or equivalent level 2 qualifications at a grade 4 or C or above, including English language or literature, maths and at least 1 science subject. You will then need to go on and take A levels or an equivalent level 3 qualification so that you think about what you might like to study in more detail and choose your options appropriately.
So you might consider taking health and social care as one of your options, which we have spoken about today.
What GCSE should I take to become a psychologist? You should definitely take maths, English language and science, but you can also think about taking statistics.
The first step on the journey to becoming a psychologist is to have gained 5 GCSEs or equivalent level 2 qualifications at grade 4, C or above. These should include maths, English language and science. You'll need to go on to take A levels and probably including at least 1 science. So think about what you'd like to carry through when making your choices.
If your school offers statistics, you also may benefit from taking this, although it is not a requirement. What GCSE should I take to become a teacher? You should definitely take maths, English language and science, but you can also think about the subject that you would like to teach or any associated subject.
You will need to achieve at least a grade 4C in GCSE Maths, English Language and Science. Your other options really depend on the subject that you see yourself teaching. If you know that you want to become a geography teacher, for instance, make sure that you take geography as one of your options. If you want to teach English, you might also consider taking drama, as 2 subjects have considerable overlap. If you're not sure yet or thinking about primary school teaching, take the subjects that you enjoy and you are good at. Many teachers end up in teaching because they love their subject, so keep your options open, follow your heart and then specialise later. What GCSE should I take to become an accountant? So you should definitely take maths and English language. And you could think about traditional academic subjects.
To become an accountant, you will need to complete training with one of the professional accountancy bodies. You can then start your journey to become an accountant in very of ways, through an apprenticeship or a college course, or after your A-levels or university degree. For most routes, you'll need at least 5 GCSEs, including maths and English language at a grade 4, C or above.
If you plan to study accountancy at university, bear in mind they often prefer you to have taken traditional academic subjects at A-level or level 3, such as history, economics, geography, modern foreign languages, English literature, or language, science and maths. So think carefully about what you choose now, because it might dictate what you carry through in the future. You'll find it tricky to pick up history at A-level, for example, if you haven't studied it at GCSE.
What GCSE should I take to become a vet? You should definitely take maths, English language and science, but you can also think about taking a spread of other subjects that you enjoy. To qualify for a veterinary school, you will need at least 5 GCSEs or an equivalent level 2 qualification, including maths, English language and science. Science may be a double or triple award. If your school offers separate science qualifications, you will need to take at least 2, preferably biology and chemistry, although it would be wise to take all 3. Courses are competitive, so you should be aiming for at least a grade 6, which is a B, or higher in all subjects.
Your A-levels will need to be heavily maths and science based, so choose options that you enjoy to fill your quota and then specialise later.
What GCSE should I take to become a police officer? You should definitely take maths, English language and science. You can also think about physical education, religious education and a modern foreign language.
There are a few routes into becoming a police officer. You'll need around 5 GCSEs at grade 4, which is a C or above, to access most courses. These should include maths, English and preferably a science. Physical education might also be a good option, as when applying to become a police officer, you will need to pass a fitness test, and it will also teach you skills such as teamwork, leadership, which is very important to the police force.
As a police officer, you will also be expected to have a good interpersonal skills and be open-minded. Subjects such as citizenship, religious education and modern foreign languages may help you to understand the communities that you work in a bit better from a political, religious or cultural perspective.
What GCSE should I take to become a pilot? You should definitely take maths, English language and science, and you should think about physics.
For most flight training courses, you will need at least 5 GCSEs at a grade 4, which is C or above, including maths, English language and science.
A good grasp of physics is especially important for a pilot, so if your school offers separate science qualifications, be sure to take physics and consider taking it through to A-level.
What GCSE should I take to become an architect? You should definitely take maths, English language and science, but you can also think about art and design technology.
To train as an architect, you will need 5 good GCSEs at grade 4 or C or above, including maths, English language and science.
In addition, you will need to be able to draw or sketch out diagrams, so subjects such as art, graphics or design would be useful. Consider continuing one of these through to A-level, as many architecture courses require to see a portfolio of creative work when you apply.
What GCSE should I take to become a laboratory technician? You should definitely think about maths, English language and science. You could think about a spread of other subjects that you enjoy.
You can become a lab technician by completing an apprenticeship, college course or university degree. To access any of these routes, you will usually need at least 5 GCSEs at a grade 4, which is C or above, including maths, English language and science.
If your school offers separate science qualifications, make sure to take all 3, physics, chemistry and biology. Whatever route you take into this career, you will need to be a science specialist.
And finally, what GCSE should I take to become a lawyer? So you should definitely take math, English language and science. You can also think about history, geography, a modern foreign language and also English literature.
To study law, you'll need at least 5 GCSEs at grade 4, which is a C or above, including maths, English language, science. Courses are competitive, so you should aim for the highest grades possible.
When awarding places, many universities prefer you to have taken traditional academic subjects at A-levels, such as history, geography, modern foreign languages, English literature or language, science, and maths. So think carefully about what you choose now, because it might dictate what you can carry through. It won't be easy to pick up a Spanish A-level, for example, if you haven't studied it at GCSE.
History, geography, modern foreign languages, and English literature are often encouraged for potential lawyers, as they can help to broaden your awareness of global and political issues.
So from all of the jobs that we have spoken about, I think the most subjects that it has mentioned are maths, English language and science.
Yes.
And if you think about it, those are the subjects that you've been studying since primary school.
Yeah.
As compulsory subjects. I think science is a bit of a tricky one with primary school though, because there's only to a certain limit that they can teach you, otherwise you'll end up getting really confused. Also with practical work too, it's more difficult when you're younger, but as you get older you see that there's so many different aspects, but I think so much of it is interlinked with each other. And so with science, it's either you get it or you don't. And so with so many different languages, with so many different subjects to cover, you do really need to focus.
Yeah. So out of all these, which one should we do, like a top 3?
Yes.
Okay, which top 3 jobs do you think cater to you?
I think for me, the most obvious one was doctor.
Yes.
Because that is the career path in mind. But I've also really heavily considered going into accountancy.
Yes.
And that's because the subject that I'm strongest in is maths. And because of that, it drew me towards it, because I think with accountancy, that is a maths career.
Yeah.
And maths is what you'll do. With medicine, it's a science career, and science is all you do.
And you love both subjects?
And I do.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's if I had to choose between science and maths, I would choose maths. But the flexibility within accountancy is really, really hard, and there are really limited amount of jobs.
Yes.
However, within the field of medicine, there's so many endless number of fields that you can go into, even ones that you wouldn't have thought of, like, oh, people actually have to do that as well. And so I think that's the path that I want to go down. But I think another one that we had mentioned that I really think I would have enjoyed is to become a lawyer.
Yes.
Even though I haven't spoken about it to anybody, but it's always coming into my mind, because with being a lawyer, it's like there's so many different sectors that you can go into. Sometimes people forget, like with insurance, then you need your lawyers, or with a case, you need your lawyers. And those people also have to deal with numbers and statistics and things like that. And even just having up the power and actually knowing the law, it's quite interesting.
So with me, I'd say law as well, because ever since I was very little, I'd always want to be like, oh, I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be a lawyer. But as you go through life, you realize how many things actually are in the job as well, and how
definitely
it, like, there's lots of differences. When you're little, you just think of a job and you're like, so like with doctors, you think it's always just like, you do one thing, you just fix, you just check up, temperature, okay, plaster.
That's it.
It's kind of different. So with law, they're like, you have to do subjects such as like history and English literature, but I don't feel like those subjects are very enjoyable for me. So as I went through life, I realised lawyer, I might not do that. But then I came across midwifery. I thinking about being a midwife because it's so enjoyable. It's like different for every single day. Like how it is with law as well. You have different cases.
Yeah.
Because for me, in my job, there's one thing that's really important. I don't want it to be like boring, same thing.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that people miss when they're talking about careers, because sometimes people just look at the money or how much or like what they have to do. But the same thing over and over again, people start to lose interest and then they're stuck with that forever.
Exactly.
And I don't think I would want to be someone who is like constantly complaining or is fed up of going to work, or it's a chore instead of something that you want to do.
Exactly. Because when you ask adults, like, what do you do? And when you see them be so passionate about their job, it just, you want to be like that in the future as well.
I think every single day when you wake up, you would want to go to work instead of wishing I should do something else or I should just stay at home.
Yeah.
Because that's when that's basically the whole rest of your life which is going to be spent, and that is how you're going to grow up, the way that you're going to teach your kids or people around you or people that you know and advise them. And so you don't want to advise people something that you didn't follow.
Exactly.
And it's making you sad. But I think everyone has their own experiences.
Yeah, definitely.
And experience is better than anything.
Yeah, because some people like a schedule, some people like order where they do the same job throughout.
Yeah.
So then my third one was being a psychologist, because I find that really it's so interesting just knowing about the human mind, because my sister, for one of her A-levels, she's doing psychology. So I'd always tell her about, I might be a psychologist one day. She's like, okay, read my books then. So I like reading through her books. It's quite a lot of content, to be honest, but it's so interesting. There's so many different things that go into it, and it's just really enjoyable, I think.
Yeah, I think every single person is different, the way that they perceive different things, and so it's really up to you what you want to do, and I think it's better to have an idea before, like sooner rather than later, even though there's no rush. And so we hope that this has helped you a lot. I know that I've learned a lot.
Yeah,
telling
me too,
everyone,
definitely.
Our own advice as well, and so we'll hope that you stay with us till next week.
I'm just going to quickly read some text messages that come through on Facebook. I've got here, Basam said it's a nice program. Razak says, nice studio and nice team. And Isha Farouk said, great show, girls, very informative. Thank you.
Thank